Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Linda from lindaspapercraft.co.uk and we are on week 3 of June 2025's Coffee and Card using the Thankful Garden bundle, and today we're just going to use the stamps and dies. There's no blending today, but I am going to do some watercolouring using ink and my Wink of Stella pen. So if you don't have a Wink of Stella pen, you can do this with a watercolour brush, but you won't get, I don't know if you can tell on camera, there's a glitter to the flowers and leaves, and obviously if you do it with a watercolour pen you're not going to get the glitter. That's from the Wink of Stella, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And I'm going to block out because I haven't got one out to do it. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to use these dies. So this is the same die 3 times, so we can cut all 3 leaves out at once, and then this is the die that just cuts out 3 flowers from the stamp. So I've got the stamp here and I've already done, so this is the 3 flowers that it cuts out. Okay, and then I can never remember which way up I need to do this. It's this way, isn't it, to get the 3 flowers? Anyway, I've already marked on here where they are. So if I put the big one there, you can see, there we go, it's these 3 flowers. Now I've just put a little dot with a Sharpie where each of those flowers are, so I know I need to get that area there on my card. Now, if you do this, obviously you'll need to clean your Sharpie off. Now, I bought this off Amazon. So this is rubbing alcohol. And then this is one of the bottles they use in nail salons. So you press that down and you get a little pool of alcohol. And then also from nail salons, I have these, which are lint-free nail wipes. Okay, as you can see, I use it quite a lot because I mark everything with Sharpie. It also gets glue off things as well and brings up your stamping blocks lovely and clean. So I label like plastic envelopes in classes and things like that with Sharpie, so I'm always wiping things off with it. Much cheaper than alcohol wipes, much cheaper. Right, so we just need to stamp these 3 flowers, so pop that to one side for now. Oh yeah, and the 3 colours out, two colours I've used are Garden Green, which is the background colour of the card, but as you know, green goes with green goes with green, so if you haven't got Garden Green, pick your favourite green. And then I've used Flirty Flamingo. When I grabbed it, I thought it was actually Petal Pink, but I really like the way it looks, so I've stuck with Flirty Flamingo. Okay, so, but because, as I say, it's quite neutral, you can use any colour for your flowers. Also, this colour here is actually Crushed Curry, or you could use Daffodil Delight, or, you know, have a play, see what you think. Right, so in your stash, you will have, now the measurements and all the links are down below. So you don't need to rush around keeping measurements here, but that's a basic A6 bookfold card base and your envelope. Now I've given you 2 squares of card. This is for your stamping, so one for your leaves and flowers, and one for your leaves, one for your flowers. And then I have given you, now these 2 are the smallest and I think the 3rd smallest. Where's my measurements gone? Card 3, yeah, 1st and 3rd nested essential labels I've cut for you there. And then also a piece of Designer Series paper, which is 9.8 by 14.2. So there we go, nested essentials dies, to remind me that's what I'd used. And then I've already cut and paint, well, stamped, painted and cut my flowers out, but I'll pop them to one side. We also need some basic rhinestones, which are over here. These will be in your pack. Okay, for the centres of the flowers. I just thought it lifted it a bit. Right, so let's do these elements here to start with. So, just getting myself started. It's been so hot in the UK. And we're not good at hot, and we don't have air conditioning. So I'm videoing this early morning, hoping to beat the heat. So we'll start with the leaves. So, and we just need to stamp 3 leaves. So 1, 2. I've given you plenty of card for those. Just wipe that off. And then we're going to stamp the flowers in the pink. So, just going to get a piece of instruction paper. That's the instructions. I always do it when I do my classes in Sale in Trafford. I always do written instructions for everyone on the complicated classes. On the simpler ones, I just we just copy the card and I'm on standby if you need me. Right, so we just need to ink up sort of the bottom half of this stamp, making sure we've got these 3 flowers. I've just inked it all, but there you go. So that's in the petal Flirty Flamingo. So, and I need these 3 flowers on this piece of paper. So I've given you a piece that's more than enough to make sure, and there's always the other side if you don't quite get it. There we go. And there they are. So it's this one, this one, and this one. Clean off my block. Right, so to do your watercolouring, what you need is a block and your ink pad. Now, I would never do this straight onto an ink pad because I don't think they're made to sort of withstand that kind of abuse. Also, if you're using a Wink of Stella, I don't want any glitter on my ink pad. So I'm going to now use that as my palette. And as I say, if you're using watercolour brushes, do this as well. On the old style of ink pads, we could sort of push it together and get a palette in the lid, but I find that quite hard with the new style. Right, okay, and we are going to colour this one, this one, and this one. So I'm tending to start in the middle because to see how much ink I've got on this brush. So, and the nice thing with a Wink of Stella brush is often once it starts, once the solution with the glycerin starts coming through, it just continues. Every now and then you might need to press here and here, but never ever ever do it over your project. Take it to one side because often it comes out in a gloop. Okay, so this is what we do in those 3 flowers. So you continue and do the other 2 as well. So you can see I'm taking my ink from there and then just sort of thinning it out a bit over here and then just painting it onto my project. Okay, so that's what I did with these flowers. As I say, I've already cut them out. Then what you do is you get your Wink of Stella brush and you wipe it off until it's clean. And then wipe off your block and repeat with the green. So I'm just putting a little bit on because I am only going to do 1 leaf because I've already done the rest, so you can pause the video and do yours. So again, load up the ink onto the brush and then come back on. And we are just literally painting the ink onto the leaf. How cute is that? So it's a lovely way to get a sort of tone on tone effect onto your images, because I'm using the same colour ink to colour in the leaves. So you need to colour in all three. So, and again, just wipe off your colour off your brush. And there you go, all ready for the next project. They are so useful, these brushes. Okay, I'm just cleaning my ink block before I get it everywhere else. Right, so, and I'm now going to stamp my sentiment onto the smaller of the two die cuts. Okay, so just going on the little one there. And I am actually just, I'm going to flip the designer series paper so I can see the outline of the label better, so I can center my stamp better. So, and I've got it on a big block so I can see all the way around. And I'm going to stand up and look through my ring light so I can see where I'm putting it. Okay, normally I put my stamps on my block straight. I haven't today. Rushing, clearly. There we go. So gentle pressure, don't rock your stamp. And there we are. With love. And now it's just a case of putting everything together. And finding your dimensionals, which are here. So, pop the envelope out of the way. So, just going to fold and burnish. No, I've used thick basic white for my card base because the thin basic white just isn't thick enough, I don't think. So. There we go, and there is a direction to this paper, I felt. So I think I've got more of the flowers sort of going up this way. Okay, and then I'm just going to get my bits out of my envelope, which I have lost. What have I done with it? Obviously covered it up with something. Where's it gone? Minor panic, thought I was going to have to start again. I can edit a video, but I just find it so time consuming, and I've got so many photos and videos on my iPad that often by the time I finished it, it won't save it because there's too much rubbish on my iPad. Okay, so we're just going to do the leaves so they're coming out between each flower. And if I find my pin glue, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on there, so, and working from the front, just adding the flowers, the leaves rather, sort of randomly. I'm sure there is an ideal way to do it, but I find I'm using sort of the way that most of the leaves are showing, to be honest, because I think they're so pretty. Do tend to try and point it to the middle if I can, as a rule of thumb, but it doesn't always work out that way. There we go. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals on, and I'm putting the dimensionals under where I'm going to put my rhinestones, so basically in the middle of each flower. And that way, if the card does get crushed at all, the dimensionals support the rhinestones, so it doesn't affect the die cuts. It doesn't sort of collapse where the dimensionals are. Right, so I spent ages fiddling about with mine yesterday to decide where I wanted those flowers. So I'm going to pop this on. So this goes on flat. My glue is, I suppose because it's so warm, it's really flowing at the moment, and I just pop that sort of an equidistance from top and bottom and side even. And then I want this to overlap, so I don't want a dimensional on this corner. So I'm going to put one there. Another one at the top there, and then one in the middle at the bottom. So I'm just keeping my thumb there so I remember not to put one there, because that's going to overlap the sentiment, not the sentiment, the flowers. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that on there, like that, and then I'm going to add the flowers. So I haven't taken the backs off yet, so I'm just going to have a play to see. I think that looks quite nice actually, different from the way I did it last time. Last time I had leaves more on there. See, I could do that. So many different ways you can do this. Oh, I think, shall we do that, or shall we do with the flower on it? I quite liked it with the flower on. I'm going to do it like that. Okay, so, and again, I've kept my finger on the petal. I want to go over the sentiment, because often when you turn it over, you've forgotten. Right, so I wanted it sort of like that. There we go. Okay, so it just remains to add on the 3 little rhinestones. I have added rhinestones to my basket because I'm down to my last 2 packs. Well, pack and a bit. Okay, so just using the pickup tool, and I'm just popping them in the centre of the flowers, and as I said, they're supported by the dimensionals underneath. Just going to move you. If you're not happy with the placement, get your pokey tool, lift it up with the glue dot, and then shove it where you want it. There we go. And there we are. So that's card number 3 of 4 for July. I just love this designer series paper. The paper is called Lovely Garden, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's meant to go with these flowers, and it is gorgeous. Right, so take care, and I will see you all next week. Bye.